We deliver innovation.
We deliver possibility.
Greetings from CUES. We proudly support the AACUC
in their commitment to change the conversation. Along with our dedication to credit union talent development,
CUES also commits to fight against racial injustice. Visit CUES.org
to access our diversity, equity, and inclusion resources. You will learn how CUES can meet the talent development needs
of everybody at your credit union. With our own diverse staff and leadership team,
we proudly stand with those who stand for change.
We deliver service.
We deliver trust.
We deliver passion.
We deliver leadership.
We deliver innovation.
We deliver possibility.
Greetings from CUES. We proudly support the AACUC
in their commitment to change the conversation. Along with our dedication to credit union talent development,
CUES also commits to fight against racial injustice. Visit CUES.org
to access our diversity, equity, and inclusion resources. You will learn how CUES can meet the talent development needs
of everybody at your credit union. With our own diverse staff and leadership team,
we proudly stand with those who stand for change.
We deliver service.
We deliver trust.
We deliver passion.
We deliver leadership.
We deliver innovation.
We deliver possibilities.
Greetings from CUES. We proudly support the AACUC
in their commitment to change the conversation. Along with our dedication to credit union talent development,
CUES also commits to fight against racial injustice. Visit CUES.org
to access our diversity, equity, and inclusion resources. You will learn how CUES can meet the talent development needs
of everybody at your credit union. With our own diverse staff and leadership team,
we proudly stand with those who stand for change.
We deliver service.
We deliver trust.
We deliver passion.
We deliver leadership.
We deliver innovation.
We deliver possibilities.
Greetings from CUES. We proudly support the AACUC
in their commitment to change the conversation. Along with our dedication to credit union talent development,
CUES also commits to fight against racial injustice. Visit CUES.org
to access our diversity, equity, and inclusion resources. You will learn how CUES can meet the talent development needs
of everybody at your credit union. With our own diverse staff and leadership team,
we proudly stand with those who stand for change.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, AACUC family and friends. I hope you all are staying safe in the face of this pandemic. When you go outside, are you wearing your mask? Are you social distancing? When you're inside and outside, are you washing your hands frequently? And so on behalf of the African American Credit Union Coalition, I'm happy and excited to welcome you to the second day of the Commitment to Change Conversation Series virtual conference. You know, AACUC has been around for a little over 20 years, and every year it seems like we've been building some momentum and we've been making some progress. But all of a sudden, we've taken this giant leap. AACUC is now the attention, or has the AACUC now has the attention of the industry. Commitment to Change, Credit Unions Unite Against Racism. My name is Adrian Johnson. I'm the chair of AACUC, and I'm the Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Officer for MECU Credit Union in Baltimore. And I've been the CFO for the last decade. I just want to personally thank all of you for attending this week and making a personal commitment to change. This is a safe space, so it's okay to be vulnerable. I want to thank the leadership of the board. I want to thank the vision of our president and CEO, Renee Sattywhite. I want to thank the conference committee. I don't know about you, but yesterday's session really lifted me up. Opal's spoken word hit the spot and set the tone for the important conversations that we're having this week. Thank you for your blessing, Opal. You know, AACUC has made this moment into a movement. We're looking for change, not just improvement. Don't talk, act. Don't say, show. Don't promise, prove. You know, Martin Luther King once said, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. The handling of emotions and healing a community session yesterday by J.D. Jackson was a great opportunity for sharing our experiences with race identity in a safe space, and I found this session very revealing and also quite healing, and delivering a united message and an important perspective for our ongoing work. You know, racism kills. It harms the spirit, and kills the body. And so before I turn it over to AJ, just want to have a few more words. And so the mission of AACUC is to increase diversity within the credit union community through advocacy and professional development. And we're certainly trying to make that happen. You know, wise people spend their time today on the things that matter the most for tomorrow. You all know what matters. So let's be intentional. We're looking for change, not just improvement. And I'll leave you with this. Life is like a camera. Focus on what's important, capture the good times, develop from the negatives, and if things don't turn out, take another shot. Take it away, AJ.
Well, thank you, Chairman Johnson. That was truly inspirational. You said a lot of things that resonated with me, and I'm sure with a lot of other people that are tuning in today, especially the pieces on diversifying and really pouring into different communities. Speaking as a young professional, I know that I've had that experience with the AACUC since my first interaction with Ms. Renee Sadie White and everyone else along on the board. But that's enough about me. I want to welcome everyone to day 2 of AACUC's virtual conference. My name is AJ Lothar, and I'll be your master of ceremonies for today. I hope all of you are enjoying the conference so far. If you weren't able to tune in yesterday, then best believe we have a jam-packed schedule today of amazing content, insightful and inspirational speakers all week, not only today. So if you had to cut out a little bit, it's okay, don't worry. Tomorrow we'll be right back at it. And the day after that, and the day after that. So if you want to, go ahead and let us know where you're tuning in from in the chat. Let us know what state you're coming from, even what city. If you're a part of a credit union, let us know. We want to know where all of our AACUC family is. We want to make sure that you have a connection with us and that we can connect with you whenever we have the possibility and the options. So before we get into too deep into things, I just have a few housekeeping rules that I want to address with everyone. So I just want you to know that all sessions, every single one of them will be recorded and uploaded by August the 24th. The recordings will be accessible the same way that you got to the conference. So, you go online, log in with your credentials, and you'll be able to access the recordings. To maintain the integrity of all the recordings, all participants' mics have been muted throughout the sessions. So that way everyone can be heard clearly. And you won't have to double back and be like, well, what'd you say? Or what was this? Everything will be there when you need it. There'll also be time for question and answers at the end of today's session. So please use the chat function at the bottom of your screens to submit your questions to the moderator. You'll send your questions to a participant named Questions for Speakers. There'll be asterisks both at the beginning, at the end of their name. So you should be able to find it at the top. And if you can't, just scroll a little bit higher, you'll see it, I promise, it's there. If you experience any technical issues during the presentation, please feel free to private message someone from the tech team. They'll have 2 asterisks in front of their names as well, so they should also be easy to find. We're trying to make it as easy as we can for you. We just want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the content that we're delivering to you. We also invite you to share your experience at the conference. You have social media, I'm sure you have LinkedIn, some of you might be on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, who knows? But whatever the case, feel free to use our hashtags. We have a whole plethora of hashtags, so you can take your pick. So we have hashtag CTC 2020, hashtag AACUC 2020, hashtag changed, like you were one way before, and then you changed, you grew, you developed to how you are now. We have hashtag AACUC, hashtag CU_unite, because we want our credit unions to come together. Hashtag CU_BLM, because credit unions know that Black Lives Matter. And also, we want to invite you to give us feedback. There's going to be a short survey at the end of the conference. So please, we encourage you to take the survey and let us know how we did, how we can make things better for you. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we'll be having our initial donations for the UNCF during the AACUC annual meeting. If you would like to donate to the UNCF, please visit the AACUC booth in the virtual exhibit hall, or you can go directly to the aacuc.org website and donate there. We'll be taking donations throughout the entire conference. So, if you have to move some funds around, you have a checkings and a savings, we got some options for you. You have some time. So we'll be taking donations all the way until Monday, August the 17th. Now, our goal is to reach $10,000. $10,000 is not the max. Okay, that's the minimum. That's where we want to. So that's our baseline. All right. So if you can do it, give. You have some friends, ask them to give. We just want everybody to give as much as we can, so we can all pour in as much as we get from what we get. Now, I know everybody likes prizes, so I want to let you know that at the end of this session, there'll be a drawing for prizes. Not just one, not two, but 3 different prizes just today, okay? So I need you to be here. I need you to tune in, tell your friends to tune in. You want them to get things, I want to give you away stuff. We want you to get these prizes. So if your name is drawn as a winner, just know that we'll contact you and we'll arrange the delivery of whatever the prize it is that you earn. I also want to give a special shout out to our sponsors. I want to give one out to PSCU, today's program sponsor, also to CUES, and all of our other sponsors. I want to thank them for their generosity of the sponsorship and all of the exhibitors that we can bring this conference to you free of charge. So thank them, stop by their booth in the exhibitor hall. If you know anyone from any of these organizations, send them a quick thank you. Or if you are from these organizations, I want to thank you on behalf of the AACUC, if you haven't been already thanked before, which I'm sure you have. Now, last but not least, before I turn anything over, I just want to extend my last thank you and my last bit of gratitude to all of you for tuning in. And now I'll turn things over to Mr. Shelton Rolak. He's the Vice President of Communication at NASCUS, and he'll be introducing the panelists for our general session.
Thank you, AJ. Welcome to the Leadership in Times of Crisis General Session. As you know, the nation is facing a number of challenges: the COVID-19 pandemic, a recession, and social justice protests. I'm honored to introduce our panelists who will discuss how they are leading through these challenges. We have Lynette Smith, President, CEO of True Energy Federal Credit Union. Lynette has represented the credit union industry on Capitol Hill, educating Congress on the credit union industry and our mission of people helping people. She currently serves on the AACUC Board of Directors as Board Secretary. She is also a past chairman of the Board of AACUC. We also have Deborah Fears, who serves as President, CEO of Chicago Post Office Employees Credit Union. Deborah is a member of the Credit Union National Association's Small Credit Union Subcommittee. She is also the Vice President of the Midwest Regional Chapter of AACUC. Max Villaranga, CEO of TFCU, located in El Paso, Texas. Prior to joining TFCU, Max was the President and CEO of Alamo Federal Credit Union. And finally, Timothy Anderson, President and CEO of the United States Senate Federal Credit Union in Washington, D.C. He serves as a member of the Board of Directors and is the immediate past chairman for AACUC. Welcome our panelists. What a dynamic group they are. To kick things off, I'm going to pose my first question to Ms. Smith. Ms. Smith, I understand that you have an interesting philosophy about leading and managing during a crisis. Can you tell us about that?
Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to kick off this very important part of the conference. If I could say that this type of situation has never happened before to anyone in the last decade. So it's hard to go back and pull something off the shelf. And I'm sure that there are credit unions that have had business continuity plans that address pandemic, but never at the level that we are experiencing today. I've done a little research and I found out that Harvard Business Review in the spring of 2020 wrote an article on coronavirus leadership plus recovery. And they addressed 4 behaviors that leaders need to have in a time of crisis. The first behavior, as you see on your screen, is to decide with speed over precision. What does that mean? Leaders need to quickly process available information and make decisions with conviction. We are not going to be perfect. Behavior number 2, adapt boldly. Decide what not to do. Review your current strategic business plan. They may no longer be relevant. And then communicate these new plans to your team. Behavior 3, reliability. Deliver it. Deliver reliability. This is very important. We have to take ownership in this crisis, even in situations where we are not in control. During a crisis, leaders must remain large and in charge. Behavior 4, engage for impact. Take care of your team and keep them engaged. Their health, their well-being are at the top priority for the continued success and providing competitive financial services to your members. And speed is something that we really had to do. And I wanted to share with the team that before COVID, I had 38% of my employees who had the capability to work remote. Within 2 weeks, we had to adjust our business practices, and I had 90% of our employees working remote.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. It sounds like you moved really, really quickly to ensure the safety of your employees and of your credit union members. Thank you for sharing that. I actually seen your leadership up close and personal. You were the chair of my first AACUC conference. And so I saw what a dynamic leader you are during that conference. Max, react to the 4 behaviors that Ms. Smith outlined, and do any of them resonate with your leadership style in terms of leading through crisis?
Absolutely, I agree with Ms. Smith, and I agree with that Harvard case study. One of the things that I did before credit union land is I served as an infantry officer in the Marine Corps. And one of the leadership realities I learned in the Marine Corps was that an 80% solution on time is better than 100% solution too late. So I had to adapt my participative and cooperative approach with my team to be more pragmatic, more directive, and more immediate during particularly the initial stages of this pandemic, because it was an emergency. It was very similar. So I would agree with everything Ms. Smith said.
Thank you, Max. Deborah, tell us about how, if any of the 4 elements that Ms. Smith outlined or some of the statements that Max made resonate with you in leading your credit union during this crisis. Might be on mute, Deborah. There we go. I think you're still on mute, Deborah. Sorry. You're still on mute. Just.
No, can you hear me?
Yes, there we
go. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, let's try this again. So Shelton, I shared this story with the fellow panelists here. So I want to share it again with the audience. So when I first learned about the panel, I reached out And I said, you know, are you sure, is this supposed to be the topic that I'm on the panel for, leadership in times of crisis? You know, well, I just became president CEO officially the week before the pandemic. And, you know, we kind of paused and a light bulb went off. And, you know, we both just started laughing because it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe I do have some things I could share from this experience. You know, needless to say, it has been one for the ages. Definitely not how I thought I would be spending the first 5 months of my role. Now, you know, I had been interim president for several months prior to that, but, you know, something about the word official just really makes it so much more real. And, you know, you start to think, okay, the decisions that I make could potentially affect whether or not my staff is able to feed their children at night. You know, how can we provide member services? And so for me, out of those four, really the one that stands out is the ability to adapt boldly, because that is exactly what I had to do. I really didn't have a choice. You know, I had to step in, I had to step up, and I had to make things happen, and I had to move quickly. And part of that adaptability for me was pretty much maintaining a growth mindset. You know, they say that out of crisis comes innovation and growth. And so I tried to really focus on that so that we could discover, you know, and really figure out, okay, where are the opportunities here? What are the challenges and areas for improvement? How can we improve our staff? How can we improve the credit union? How can we improve our member services? So that is what I've tried to focus on for these past 5 months. It's definitely been interesting.
Well, first, congratulations on your role. I know that your board is confident in you that you could handle this crisis. Otherwise, they wouldn't have appointed you. So big congratulations to you.
Thank you, Shelton.
Tim Anderson, talk to us about how you're leading through a crisis. Now, you've been a CEO for a while, relatively new to your new position, but you've been a longtime CEO, former chair of AACUC. So I too have seen your leadership up close. So talk to us about leading through a time of crisis.
Thanks, Shelton, and I certainly appreciate this opportunity to share. Unlike my colleagues, and Lynette mentioned that she had about 30, I guess almost 40% of her staff working remote. During this crisis, again, it was a crisis like we've never seen before. I often say this was self-induced, if you will, shutting down the economy. And unlike a downturn that we've ever seen. So we had this self-induced shutting down the economy. Folks began to lose their jobs. It's almost like a self-induced coma. We had to do this time. Unlike the Great Recession of 2007, 2008, 2009. So this is different, no blueprint. And it required some speed, required precision. One of the things that I'll say is that at our credit union, we have about 100, just under 120 employees. We're 1.1 billion in assets. We did not have a philosophy of teleworking. That was not our philosophy. It wasn't something that we subscribed to, that we wanted to do. So all of a sudden we're presented with this crisis with no blueprint, unlike other crises. So we had to move with speed. We put together a crisis management team. I've got a great group at the United States Senate Federal Credit Union. I know a few are out there listening, so this is my shout out to them. And we put together this crisis management team that acted with speed. And we were able to take the entire credit union remote within a matter of 3 weeks. Again, never having that philosophy. Everyone stepped up. In a time of crisis, everyone came together and we had a tremendous effort. One of the things that I'll say too, in terms of number 4, engage for impact, we talk about caretaking the environment around our credit union, simply meaning looking after each other. And I think that's critical. I think that whole empathy approach during a crisis like this is just critical. So yeah, I certainly agree with the Harvard Business Review. We had to adopt those principles.
Thank you for sharing that, Tim. Following up, you mentioned looking out for each other. Tell me how the pandemic, recession, and social justice protests have impacted your staff. What have you found when you're looking out for each other?
Yeah, and that's the thing I think we all as leaders have to be very focused on. Because I'm often reminded of Theodore Roosevelt, who said, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so we had to just have this mindset of looking after each other. Here's a pandemic that required empathy, required leadership, where everyone could rally together. Our employees are at home. They have relatives that they're looking after. Again, this was a medical pandemic that shut us down. So people lost their jobs. Some lost their lives, unfortunately. And so we had to make sure that our environment was whole. I simply believe this, that as a leader, you have to look after the whole person. So, I came up in banking way back in the day when it was always, leave your problems at home when you come to work. I just don't believe that. I believe as a leader, I have to be concerned with the whole person to make sure that they're productive at work. So if they're having issues at home, then as a leader, I want to be concerned about those, because if we could help make those issues better, then they could be better employees. So we rallied together to just make sure that our people felt supported. We had engagement activities to make sure that those that are at home with children, with distance learning and virtual learning, that's an impact. So we had to have programs in place to deal with the whole person.
Thank you for sharing that, Tim. Turning to Max. Max, you mentioned taking a very direct approach, being a little less collaborative just because you had to move really swiftly. Talk to us about that and how your employees and staff reacted to that more deliberate approach. I'm sure they appreciated having a strong leader in this point in time.
Well, absolutely. You're dealing with everybody that's dealing with fear, sadness, anxiety. So we had to react quickly. We really just started to prepare people psychologically. So back in March, we were messaging to our team that this was going to be an 18-month event. We believe that if you prepare for a marathon and the race ends up being shorter, it's okay. But if you prepare for a short sprint and it ends up being a marathon, it's demoralizing for everyone. So our antidote to the uncertainty, anxiety that the team was dealing with was preparing, planning with the group. And so we did a lot of the same things that the rest of the teams talked about: remote work, flexible scheduling, reallocating personnel to new areas of demand, backup teams, A and B teams, 100% transparency if somebody got sick. And we wouldn't divulge who got sick, but we would immediately let them know, and we would do the contact tracing and ensure that all those people were aware and that the quarantines were put into place immediately. So those were some of the deliberate steps that we had to take, and the shift in leadership style that had to occur. But I think what it did was gave the team a sense of certainty, and they knew that the leadership team as a whole was acting in their best interests, the members' best interests, and the public's best interest.
Max. Ms. Smith, talk to us about how your staff was impacted by the current environment and how they reacted to your initiative and your leadership during this time. And you're on mute, Ms. Smith.
My apologies. Well, I tell you, one thing that concerned my employees the most and because of the recession. So let's face it, everyone, we've never seen something like this hit the financial market like it did with Gangbuster, my employees were concerned whether they were going to lose their job. Would it be okay if they were to homeschool their children? And that's where a lot of compassion came in. We had to be understanding to their needs, but yet we're still trying to serve our members because they're our number one priority. So the goal was, you need to get the job done and balance your work and life and home style. And I think my team has done a fantastic job of accomplishing that. I think communication is very important. We have daily COVID task force meetings, daily, whether we meet for 15 minutes or whether we meet for an hour. And it includes my COO, my CFO, and my HR manager. And collectively, really make sure that the whole team remains engaged. So I think that has helped, having daily COVID meetings. And also I hold them accountable, because I will say one thing about the industry, and I'm so proud that we're able to serve 121 million members around the country, that we just stepped in and did what we had to do. And not only that, but the trade associations and business partners offered free conferences, free webinars. They want you to succeed. And I tell you, it just made me proud to know that I have a good team and I have good partners also.
Thank you for sharing that, Ms. Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing a common theme of this empathetic leadership, right? And I'm sure, Deborah, I'm sure you have empathetic leadership. In fact, that's what I've heard, you have empathetic leadership. Tell us about that. Tell us about your leadership journey during this time and how your staff relatively new to you, how they've reacted to your leadership during this time.
Yeah, Shelton. So, again, a new CEO, I mean, I can't help but be empathetic. I was in their shoes. I'm still in their shoes. You talk about figuring out e-learning and daycare, some of the things that the staff was going through. I mean, I have a young son, so these are some of the same things that I'm going through as well. And so I understand, I am in their shoes. My team, they have been phenomenal. I cannot say enough about them. They have been so supportive, and I've seen so much growth in the team over these past few months, because they really stepped up. They stepped up for our membership. They stepped up for each other. We had to close down one of our branches for a bit, in a public space, and we don't have a drive-through, so we implemented curbside service. And, the team, they didn't complain, at least not to me, but the members, they loved it. They were able to drive up, and we're a cashless branch. So they were able to just drive up and take care of their transaction via the phone. And the staff, they would make a game out of it. Let's see who could get the most steps. So they really just banded together. And just like I said, they just stood up for each other and for our membership to make sure that we could offer those, the best service that we could. And that just really spoke to me. They have been very supportive during this time.
Thank you for sharing that, Deborah. So it sounds like as you all really took the reins and took the lead, so to speak, and just, really champion your staff and your members, your staff's anxiety level kind of decreased a bit. Is that what I'm hearing, Max? Did your staff's level kind of decrease a bit? And did you notice, what have you noticed the biggest difference between early on in the pandemic, March, and now as we sit 5 months later? What's been the difference in the anxiety level of your staff?
Well, I think it's hard to answer that, but I think that everything that's going on, all three things that you mentioned, are create this environment of anxiety. And so this isn't just a little bit of penicillin we give them at one time. We are going to have a long-term treatment plan. Like I mentioned earlier, this is an 18-month type event. And so we have to be ready for this in the long haul. I think we need to continue multiplying our access points to our team. I think we have to be visible to our team. If not, the team feels very much like a ship without a rudder, and the team needs direction through this kind of crisis. I think our teams are going to continue to feel isolated at home when they're working remotely, or even right here in our offices. We have a lot fewer people, so isolation starts to grate on you over time. So I think we have to be keeping this top of mind. It's important not to sugarcoat. I've heard national and state leaders talk about, we hope that this will be over soon. That really doesn't do anything for anyone. Hope is not a strategy. I empathize with the team and give them a plan for what they need to do to stay healthy and safe, to assist them in navigating the recession, a plan to make progress on racial justice. And I think that's how we can show compassion, and that will give people hope when they see a plan that can work.
Thank you for sharing that, Max. Planning a plan is definitely important. That gives some people something to hope for, something to kind of track the progress, so to speak. Tim, have you launched any specific initiatives at your credit union during this time to advocate for assist people with any of the three issues that are going on right now, the pandemic, the recession, or social justice protests?
Yes, Shelton, and again, I'll just say that it's a blueprint. We don't have a blueprint for what happened, and I mentioned earlier about it being self-induced. I mean, this economy was shut down by us. Never in our history have we had a downturn like that. The economy was revving, things were going, and then all of a sudden we had to bring it to a screeching halt. So at my credit union, we placed a lot of initiatives around this whole stay-at-home environment. We continue to engage. We've got a very active HR and training department, engaging our people daily, understanding that this environment is new, it's stressful, and we're mindful of that. One of the things that I just wanted to get out in front of real early, and that is assuring our people that we're going to do everything possible to keep everybody employed. That was the biggest thing. That was on everybody's mind. Here we are shutting down this economy. Again, a downturn like we've never seen before. So all of a sudden people are worried. They look around in other industries, folk are being laid off. They look around in our industry, folk are being laid off. So I thought that was critical. I normally do a town hall. We have a town hall every quarter. I thought it was critical to continue that because they needed to see me as the leader. We do it virtually. We get all 115 people on our Skype. And one of the things that I said is, no one's going to be laid off. That's my commitment. We're going to do everything possible to cut expenses everywhere else. So those initiatives are going to happen with us looking, and I'm challenging my team, find those areas where we can cut expenses, because again, the financial impact on the credit union is real. We understand that, but we're in the people business. And the one thing that we had to do is just say, hey, let's make sure that our people know that we're all in this together, and my commitment is to keep them employed.
Thank you for sharing that, Tim. So just following up, just a quick follow-up. So as the CEO, how have you empowered the middle managers to really connect with their staffs on these issues?
Yeah, thanks for that question too, Shelton, because obviously leadership permeates the entire organization. And it's critical for our leaders to be a part of that. All the business unit managers. So as opposed to just having our senior executive team meetings, we bring everyone together. All of our vice presidents, our middle managers. That's where the work, I always say the work really gets done at that level. We're bringing all them in the room at the table together. So we're empowering our middle managers, the vice president. They're part of the leadership team. They're in there with the strategic approaches that we're taking. And so everything that we talk about and we plan, they're part of it. So then they can take it out to their people. It permeates the organization. Everyone, step by step, is in line with what we're trying to do. Communication matters during a crisis.
Thank you for sharing that. Ms. Smith, I see you nodding your head. Talk to me about how you've empowered your middle managers to have these conversations with staff.
Well, our middle managers currently are receiving professional coaching sessions and effective leadership. We had planned for them to have that prior to the COVID, but to me, it became more important that we do that. And with our asset size and the number of employees, we're able to really, I myself am able to remain engaged and call them and frequently. So when I get an email from a manager, you know what I did? I do the pick the phone up and call. And I ask them, how are you doing? How's your family doing? Are you okay? So I try to stay on the pulse of all of the mid-managers and also my C-suite.
Thank you for sharing that. Deborah, talk to us about how you've empowered your management team to talk to staff about these issues.
All right, so, you know, we're a small team, small staff. It's always all hands on deck. You know, the managers, they have really stepped up as well in terms of making sure that, you know, the staff at both of our branches are kept up to date. You know, this has just been a moving target. Everything has. Things have been changing constantly. And we just, you know, they have done a phenomenal job making sure that they are keeping everyone abreast of what's going on. We've also taken the opportunity to do a lot of training, you know, from management all the way down to the staff. You know, what a better time to train than when our lobbies are closed. You know, really promoting professional development, you know, amongst the team from the management level down has been really important. And I'm so happy that the staff has, you know, really taken advantage of that. You know, again, I know Lynette mentioned that our trade associations, our credit union leagues, they've done such a great job in stepping in and helping us and being that resource that we could turn to. You know, our credit union league here in Illinois, they partner with Louisiana Credit Union League to offer the Certified Professional Financial Counselor certificate. So we have several staff members who, you know, they opted to take that. So it's, you know, just really trying to keep everyone engaged. And I think management has done a great job of doing that.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, you mentioned something that got me to thinking. Talk to me about how you're interacting with other CEOs during this time. Like how important has it been to have that network of support during this time to your leadership?
Oh, Shelton, let me tell you. If I didn't understand the power of a network before this crisis, I absolutely understand it now. I mean, my network has been invaluable during this time. You know, AACUC, Credit Union League, other colleagues and CEOs from different credit unions. I feel so blessed that I can just pick up the phone and call any one of them with a question. And I have, and I do, and I still do. And I mean, it's just, it's really been invaluable. I cannot say enough about building your network and just having that, you know, backup that you can call and people will help you out. And it's what I love about the credit union industry too, because everyone is always so eager to help you and willing to help. How can I help? It's amazing. And I have certainly taken advantage of that during this time.
Yeah.
If I could say credit unions are the best. I sit on several credit union CEO roundtables, and there's a common thread when it comes to the COVID, the racial injustice. I feel that we're all on the same page, and that has given me new life, and look forward to continuing to be in this industry. We're just the best thing going, in my opinion.
I certainly agree that you're the best thing going right now. And you're one of higher CEOs as well, Ms. Smith. So
that's right.
How have you taken, Max, how have you taken advantage of colleagues and your network during this time?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm always up for advice from my colleagues. You know, I love here at the credit union, I try to surround myself with people that are significantly smarter than I am. And I think I've effectively done that. And a lot of my peers here in El Paso, in Texas with the Cornerstone Credit Union League, CUNA, some of my alumni from school, some of which are, I've seen them on the chat already. So hello to all of you. I lean on them from time to time based on the areas that they've got subject matter expertise. Just the other day, we were talking about the allowance for loan and lease loss and how we should be reserving during this pandemic. And so it was really interesting hearing a few of those peers step in and talk about their levels of overfunding. And then I compared it to ours, and we had arrived at similar answers, although we were arriving at it in different ways. And so I think having a peer network is really critical. And I think in whatever role that we're in, but particularly in a CEO role, it's important to be a lifelong learner, to always be willing to learn from those around us. I think we can be better leaders that way.
And following up, Tim, talk to us about your network and how they've assisted you in leading during this time.
Yeah, Shelton, and I echo my colleagues. Certainly in credit union world, the entire people helping people philosophy is a lifestyle. We live by that. And Lynette and I used to work together way back in the day at another credit union, and I've always had her on speed dial. Whenever I have a question on something, you know, she's always ready to step up and be a part. Everyone on this panel. So just having the chairman, Adrian Johnson over at MECU here in Baltimore. Adrian is right down the street. You know, there have been times, hey, Mr. Chairman, that, you know, we've met for dinner. So just having the resources available in credit union world, and we all learn from each other. And I've been in this business now, banking and credit union world, for 40 years, and I'm still learning. And that will always be my mindset. I'm still learning.
Thank you for sharing that. So credit unions, being not-for-profit, member-owned, have a special place, have a special relationship with their members, right? They're not like customers like those other financial institutions. Yes, they're members, right? We're a part of that. As a credit union member, I'm a part of my credit union. What has been the response of your members to your leadership style? Like, how have they responded? Now, I'll since you just finished talking, Tim, I'll throw this to you first. What has been the response of your members? Yeah, and again, challenging times. So clearly, that's our number one objective, to take care of our members, take care of our employees. And we have communicated, we have overly communicated. I think that's okay during a crisis, to overly communicate to our members and stand in front of them. We have a medium where they can communicate back with us, and they do that often. They'll send the CEO questions and comments, and we hear from them. They do the same thing with managers throughout our organization. So our members have been very appreciative. We get a lot of communication back from them because they see the things that we're doing in terms of helping them through this hardship. So to answer that question, I would say our membership, they've responded well because they know, if I could use this adage, we have their back. Thank you for sharing that, Tim. So Deborah, you mentioned the all hands on deck approach, and you mentioned the curbside pickup. So I'm sure your members are seeing you quite frequently. in some form or another. Tell me how they responded to your leadership.
You know, the membership has been great. They have adjusted so well. Yeah, they were actually sad to see the curbside service go, you know, when we finally opened our lobbies back up, because it was a convenient service, you know. We, again, as all of my colleagues have mentioned, you know, we've tried to over communicate with our membership to let them know what's going on, keep them abreast. We did wellness checks for a large majority of our members, starting with the older members, just to make sure that they were able to use our online services, help them get signed up. They were so appreciative of that. We got a lot of comments from members saying, you know, you guys are the only ones that actually called me to make sure that I was okay. You know, and you know, we weren't trying to sell them anything. It just really just a well-being call to say, are you okay? Do you need anything? And how can we help you during this time? And so, you know, they have been so receptive to all of our communications and the initiatives that we're putting in place right now. I can't say enough about our membership. They've been great.
Ms. Smith, talk to us about how your members are responding.
Well, I think our members are responding very, very well. We've implemented, just like everyone else, the Skip-a-Pay, the hardship loan. We've waived fees. And I want to acknowledge that I think that NCUA has really done a fantastic job at making these products and services easier and giving credit unions leeway when it comes to coronavirus. And I've heard of some CEOs saying, well, we're just advancing the due date on the loan for 6 months. You know, we have to really think different. Another thing that our members have embraced is because we only had one branch, our digital platform had to be, you don't have to come into our office to get a transaction done. And I think by having that, that has helped. But what I've been amazed by is we've seen about a 25% increase in remote deposit capture. Members are embracing the electronic, the digital platform. And when I talk to other CEOs around the country, their best strategies going forward, or if it's not digital, we're not going to touch it. If we can't communicate to our members and get a product or services done during the COVID or during a pandemic, that's where our resources need to be. So.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. So Max, you know I'm coming to you. Talk to us about how your members have responded to your leadership during this time.
Well, I think the health emergency has certainly been discussed. So I'm not going to repeat that side of it. I think that we're all doing very similar things and our members are responding with empathy and they like that. I will talk about how our team has reacted to some degree. I think they have appreciated us putting health as a priority. And I think that's a really critical component of that. In our role as leading economically, because this is really 3 crises in one, right? I think that the community has appreciated a perspective that we had early on that this was going to be an 18-month event. At that time, back in March and April, that was not a popular viewpoint. A lot of people were saying, you know, we want to go have a nice time this summer, right? And so I think us having that voice brought a lot of credibility and some planning to organizations through the Chamber of Commerce and through some of our other partners and some of even my peers in the industry. So I think that's critical. And the third prong to this crisis, of course, is leading in the community from a racial justice standpoint. And I don't think we've talked about that quite enough, but we've really tried to take a leadership role. And we had started a process last year on diversity, inclusion, and equity. And so we really published a full-page ad in our local paper. It was a very bold set of comments. And we knew we were going to get, people that really loved it and some people that maybe didn't love it. And we felt that that's what leadership is all about, is sometimes you have to say things even though they're not popular, but they're right. And so that's the position we've taken on it. The reaction from a racial justice standpoint has been that we were unwilling to be silent right now. And we have gotten a little bit of pushback from some members of the community, but it's really pretty small. I think everybody realizes what's right. And we want to continue driving the momentum of that messaging. We don't want it to stop now. We want to continue to use that for good.
Thank you for that, Max. Following up, that you mentioned there were some people who didn't like that. Did anybody respond? Like, what were the extent of your negative responses, if you could?
Yeah, well, I got some voicemails, some fascinating voicemails, and I called those members back and had some lively conversation with some people. But I think it's powerful. First of all, they all appreciated that I called them back personally. And certainly I listened to everything that they had to say. I think in every case, they made assumptions about what was meant rather than the words that were used. So they were populating with sentences in between texts that didn't actually exist. So I just restated what was there and how important it is in this nation for everybody to be treated in a way that's just, and that currently that's not the case. And so that was our position. In some cases, I think they remained a little bit perturbed at the end, but we knew that that was going to be the case. We have a great board of directors. They're very supportive of this message, and they know that this is the right path for us as a credit union.
Thank you for sharing that. Has any of the other leaders on the panel responded specifically to the racial justice aspect of what's going on currently, to your staff or to members?
This is Lynette. I did to the staff and to the members, and I left my staff, which I call my team, and my members with 3 words of advice, and they begin with L. First, we must learn from what has happened and move forward. I think it's very important that we listen to one another, have a conversation. Don't be afraid to discuss the elephant in the room. And finally, love with a whole lot of respect for one another. And I think if we do that, which is the way, think about it, the way we treat our members, if that's the way I treat my members, that's the way the whole world should be, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Shelton, this is Tim, and I'll react to that as well. I think as leaders, it's incumbent upon us to certainly address issues, and especially as it relates to some of the things that have transpired. But I think it starts with just being inclusive. Certainly we didn't get any negative responses from anyone. We certainly said, hey, we stand for what's right. I think people stand for what's right. Now, I think it's incumbent upon us as leaders to be able to have those discussions. And to Max's point, if it's someone that just doesn't understand something, then you continue to listen and you continue to have the conversations. But I think you have to come from a point of view of being inclusive, and we're all in this together. And I often say this, and I know we talk about people helping people. That's what we're about as credit unions, but it's in our DNA as credit union professionals to lead on this issue, to lead on the health issue, the COVID issue with our members, to lead on the racial injustices issues. It's in our DNA. And I think as leaders, we can't shy away from that, because not only are our members talking about it, but our employees are talking about it also. So I think we have to always come from an approach of being inclusive and listening to everyone.
Thank you for sharing that, Tim. Deborah, weigh in on this, specifically the racial justice aspect of it, how you responded to your team and members.
Yeah, so I don't know that I can say it any better than Lynette and Tim and Max, and kudos to you, Max, for really, standing behind your values. And your credit union is lucky to have you, all of you. We pretty much took a similar approach. We do have a large African-American population of members. So, we didn't get a lot of pushback from things that were going on. It was mostly people on the same side fighting towards the same causes. With the riots and the protests, our building was actually impacted a little bit. We had a brick thrown in through the window. But we just put out the message that, we remain inclusive. And I think that is the key, being inclusive and communicating that, we're all in this together. And let's just love one another and listen to each other and learn. Just as Lynette said, those three things are the key ingredients. And we have just tried to continue communicating that to our membership, and they've embraced it very well.
Thank you for sharing that, Deborah. But, the inclusive nature of credit unions is why my dad was a lifelong member of credit union, why I've been a lifelong member of a credit union, just because of that inclusive nature of being member-owned, not-for-profit, feeling like you're a part of it. It's more than just being a customer. So thank you all so much for sharing that. Deborah, just asking you, just because you last spoke, what have you learned during this current environment between social justice uprisings and pandemic and recession? What have you learned?
Oh, geez, where do I start? I have a laundry list of things, but I think, the biggest thing that I've learned is that I love the phrase that says leadership is a decision. It's not necessarily a role, and, you have to step up, whether it's the protest, the health crisis, whatever the crisis is, you have to decide. You have to decide, plan, and execute. You have to make decisions. You have to be confident in your decisions. Are they going to be perfect all the time? Maybe not, but the important piece of that is that you're moving forward, you're growing, you're looking at the opportunities to improve, in all areas. And so I think that's, for me, has been the biggest thing that I've learned. That, and again, the power of a network. And so, I could go on. I've learned a lot from this experience, and I'm sure I'll continue learning. As Tim said, I believe also in being a lifelong learner. And, I just continue to absorb and be a sponge from all my colleagues and, just learning as much as I can.
Mr. Anderson, lifelong learner, what have you learned over the course of this period?
I've learned a lot, as Deborah said. But one of the things that I'll say is that I've learned that you have to be adaptable. And all those, we had a great strategic planning session last fall. Everything that we talked about there, you just rip it up. And I've learned that you have to be that fluid. Things are changing. Things will continue to change. Life as we know it has changed. I don't believe that we'll go back to times as we knew them. And I'm often reminded of a quote by Sam Cawthorn, who says, "Crisis moments create opportunities. Problems and crises ignite our greatest creativity and thought leadership as it forces us to focus on things outside of the normal." And that's kind of, accentuated with me as I move forward, that there are going to be opportunities that we never thought of. And so we've got to be able to to seize those opportunities. Again, as we talk about the health crisis, life as we know it has changed. I think the way we run our businesses, that's changed as well. So we have to be adaptable, we have to be fluid, and we have to make sure that we seize those new opportunities because they're out there, even in the midst of a crisis.
Thank you for sharing that, Tim. Ms. Smith, what have you learned during this time over the course of the last few months?
I'm going to piggyback on Tim Anderson. Our best practices are the new normal, and we do have to adjust. We have to look at our whole business plan, the way we operate as a credit union. We need to have an open mind, and really think about our members. They come first. Balance that with your employee. And also, I do have the support of my board. So that helps a great deal. They don't micromanage our operations. And I think just having those three things have helped me developed my credit union through this time. These are times, as I said before, that we've never seen before.
Thank you for sharing that. And Max, talk to us about what you've learned during this time.
Well, again, my peers have done such a great job answering the question from a pandemic standpoint. I'm going to answer it a little bit differently. I'm just going to talk a little bit about unconscious bias. I think it's something that we all have. And I think it's important for me to get real with myself and for all of us to do that. I think it's important to partner with others to hold up a mirror, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, be willing to learn something new and realize you may not be what you think you are. And if you want to get closer to be what you want to be, you've got to get uncomfortable. It may not be your fault, but it is your problem. Immerse and expose yourself to different groups so that you can debunk those biases. My reaction to recent events were that I felt angry, frustrated, embarrassed, and sad at times. But I think what it's done for me is it's made me more resolute and firm in my conviction to protect the health of the people that I directly and indirectly care for. And I'm more vocal than I probably would have been because I feel that it's necessary and it's right.
Thank you for sharing that. And I'm going to ask a follow-up. And as I told the panelists, my dad was a Marine, and I know you're a Marine, former Marine, Max, and you're not surprised by many things, right? So what has surprised you during this time?
Well, certainly I've been, I don't want to say surprised because we've got an amazing team, but we've just been so resilient as a group. Everybody's been so flexible with the changes in work arrangements and the changes in schedules, having to move to work from home. Everybody's been absolutely phenomenal in how they've engaged in a time that's relatively scary. People are scared for their own health. They're scared for their family members. They're seeing statistics every day that are terrifying at times. So I think seeing the resilience of our team has been energizing and I think surprising because sometimes you think that people are just going to put a shell over themselves and tighten up, but they haven't. Everybody has been fantastic.
Thank you for sharing that. Ms. Smith, surprises. What has surprised you?
What surprised me in reference to COVID or racial injustice? What surprise do you want?
If let's go with racial injustice. What surprised you the most during this time about reactions?
Well, what surprised me, and I always had a feeling it existed, but sometime me as an African American woman may have a different path than my African American brother. Their journey might be different. And it was so apparent to me with the recent events that took place. So I think we need to be understanding and empathetic to everyone's journey, including people that are not our color and how they feel. So we need to be empathetic to all.
Thank you for sharing that. So it's just more of like a heightened awareness of journeys.
Very much so. Very much so. Yes,
Thank you
sir.
for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Deborah, any surprises, whether it be the pandemic, recession, or social injustice?
I think just to echo Max's comment about the team, I have been, I'll say impressed. I've been just so impressed by how the team has been resilient and been able to adapt and been so flexible during this whole time, during the protests, during the pandemic, to go from a place of being, you probably scared, nervous, to just making it work, and doing what needed to be done to help our members. And, I wasn't surprised because I have a great team, but just so impressed by what we've been able to accomplish in just a short time and all the opportunities for growth that they have taken advantage of.
Thank you for that. Tim, any surprises per se?
A couple of things, Shelton, and I won't say that this was a surprise. It actually made me really proud to be a part of this industry. This particular industry, the credit union industry, reacted swiftly and with consensus around the whole racial injustice. Whether it was the NCUA, CUNA, NAFCU, everyone came together, and that made me proud to be a part of this industry. I often say, and I was sharing with someone on another call, another forum, where we all have our issues across this country with respect to coming together, but I would not trade this credit union industry for any industry in the world. So that made me proud. And if I had another surprise, it would be more on the COVID side. I was surprised with the swiftness, the damage, how swift it was. The economy was shut down. Again, we had to shut it down. And that surprised me because at one point we were talking about approaching unemployment numbers second only to the Great Depression. And it didn't happen. We're hoping it doesn't happen. We're talking about 25% unemployment, but those kind of doom and gloom numbers and how swiftly things just tanked, that surprised me. This economy has weathered a lot of storms, and to see this unique pandemic come upon us and swiftly shut down everything, I think I was taken a little aback by that.
Thank you for sharing that, Tim. I think we all were kind of, it was a really heightened stressful period. And dealing with that, you all have a lot on your shoulders. You have teams, you have families, and you have concerns about, as we all do, and concerns about your employees and their families, et cetera. So talk to me about self-care. How are you taking care of yourselves during this time? Like me personally, Peloton is saving my life, right? Because during those stressful times, I jump on a bike and ride it out. But how are you taking care of yourself, Tim?
And you know me a little bit, Shelton. So the first thing I would say is golf, but I haven't been able to really play because of everything going on. My dad was a Pentecostal pastor. I grew up in that environment, and being in that environment, it was all about just being humble and during tough times, just surround yourself with family. And during that time, it was the church environment. Everyone became our family, the extended family. So I still fall back on those things. I wrap myself up in my family, my extended family, my employees. I enjoy being around our staff. And so I wrap myself up in those things that are, just brings you solace. And I continue to do that. And I found myself being recharged.
Excellent. Recharging, like piggybacking. Ms. Smith, we talked a little bit about it. Tell everybody how you recharging.
Well, how I've recharged is being at home, I've had the opportunity to utilize some of my exercise equipment that was collecting dust, and also walking. So I've lost a little bit of weight in the process. But not only that, I think I feel healthier. And with COVID, once COVID hit, and I can say I am a senior citizen, I wanted to make sure that I was healthy if I get COVID. So I said, okay, well, what can I do to make myself better? And I tell you, I feel so much better exercising and taking care of me through all of this. It really has helped me a great deal.
Thank you for sharing that. Deborah, how are you recharging? Relatively new job, family at home. What are you doing to take care of yourself?
I like Lynette, exercise, bike riding. Well, I don't have a lot of time because my first grader keeps me pretty busy. So, but it also makes me really happy. I have a great supportive family who, as Tim, you mentioned, surrounding yourself with family, whether it's in person, well, it hasn't been in person lately, but, any of the video calls, I have a video call with my family almost every day, just to touch base and see everyone's face, how was your day? So that alone just energizes me and just keeps me going.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that. Max, recharging.
I joined a wine club.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. But actually, I'm not kidding. I really did join a wine club. But what I was going to mention is, because a lot of other things were already mentioned, is just perspective. And in my house, we call it first world problems. But I think it's really powerful to take a step back. A lot of the things that cause me anxiety or cause us anxiety as leaders of organizations or leaders of departments, if you take a step back and reflect on what's really causing the anxiety and reflecting on the fact that this too will pass and that it's gonna be just fine, and you think about what other people are dealing with every single day. There are people out there that don't have a job. They're worried about that next paycheck. They may have food insecurity. I think that perspective shift can really recharge your batteries almost immediately, because you really feel fortunate. And some of us make that a part of our prayers. Some of us make that part of our meditation. But I think taking a step back and just regaining the perspective of the wonderful position that we have working here in the United States right now at this point in history, with all this progress that has been made in the medical community that allows us to identify that this is a virus, the fact that we can do that, and the fact that we're able to speak freely about these issues of racial justice. There are many of our brothers and sisters in other countries that can't safely speak about any of this. So I think that is a wonderful way to recharge our batteries as well.
Thank you so much.
And if I could just throw in really quick, I just wanted to say, not only looking at it from that perspective, but also if we all step back and just think about what we have accomplished over these past 5 months. For me, that too is self-care. We have done so much in so little time. And I think, I'm just honored to be part of this industry, as Tim said. And for me, that is self-care also. Just seeing the fruits of what we've been able to accomplish.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Deborah. I really appreciate that. Especially with the recent passing of John Lewis, I've been thinking about, as a Black man in America, my ancestors overcame the Middle Passage slavery and Jim Crow and all that jazz. And so, I get empowered by that. So thank you all so much for being so open and sharing that. So those are all of my questions. I'm going to grab a couple questions from the chat. We have a few more minutes. One question I found interesting was, how have the leaders on the panel used these times of adversity to make their organization better for the future? Anybody want to have that?
Yeah, I'll jump at it. So we see any emergency of the sort as an opportunity. Every time that something happens like this in life, it's also an opportunity. So to Mr. Anderson's point, he was talking about looking for ways to cut costs. And so we're definitely looking at that. We've already started dialogue with our board of directors. We've recalibrated our strategic plan to be able to take advantage of some of those technologies. And so that's very much going to be a part of what we look like in the future. Now, those were things we were probably going to be moving to in the next 5 to 10 years, but the pandemic put it on steroids. We're absolutely doing it now because it's just accelerated that e-commerce revolution. And if we care about our team's jobs in the future, we have to move into the year 2020 briskly.
And Shelton, and I'll jump in briefly too. I concur with what Max said. The way I look at it going forward, all things digital. So even though the COVID put us in the adverse environment, we can utilize these opportunities, because there are going to be opportunities, and they're going to be opportunities we haven't thought of in the past. So I think that that's a big part of it. And just moving forward and just making sure that we're doing, not doing business as we used to, but taking the advantage of what's before us.
Thank you for sharing that, Max. Tim, anybody else want to jump in? One more question. How will you hold on to your leadership, your current leadership at this time? Like anything that you're now doing as a leader, will you hold on to any aspect of that?
Yes, I think that holding on to the leadership is going to be very important. The leadership of the credit union industry, the mid-managers are important. So I think we have to be able to pivot at times to accommodate those leaders in our industry to make sure that they can perform their job, serve our members, and make it a better industry for us all.
Thank you for sharing that. Deborah, I saw you unmute. You want to jump in here?
I was just going to say, as far as holding on to our leaders, really just continue to empower them. I think that is one thing that has kept us going and kept everyone engaged, is just having that sense of empowerment to accomplish the things that need to happen within the organization. So I will absolutely continue down that path.
And Shelton, I'll just add, to be authentic, be who you are. Folk are looking for authentic leaders. And I think our staff, they see that, they recognize that. Also, I'll just go back to an earlier quote from Theodore Roosevelt. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so I think just showing that empathy and showing that we care, I believe we can hold on to our staff, our leaders, because we all have come together during this crisis.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to make a comment here about Ms. Fears. I think many times as we look at leadership, our teams are seeing us get tested, and it's baptism by fire, right? And I am sure that your team is going to be very impressed with your performance. And I think that is part of the opportunity of this moment is our actions taken during times like this, our voice during times of racial injustice. They notice if we are quiet. They notice if we have indecision. They notice if we're not going to be bold and if we're not going to live by our values. So congratulations to everybody on this panel. I'm so proud to be on this panel with all of you. It's a real pleasure. And thank you, Mr. Ulek, for being a great moderator.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Max. And I can think of no better way to end. Thank you. I appreciate you all being so open and vulnerable and honest and really imparting wisdom. I walked away with so much that's going to make me be a better leader now to the future. So thank you so much for that. AJ, my man, where you at? I'm gonna, now that we finished, I'm gonna turn it back over to AJ, who's gonna close us out with somebody.
Oh, thank you, Shelton. Thank you. And thank you to all of you amazing panelists. To everyone that's tuned in, I told you it was going to be a great session. Amazing, inspirational, just beautiful session. I also want to give a special shout out to everyone that's tuning in on YouTube during the live stream. You know, we saw you out there. We didn't forget about you. It's okay. Everyone down in the chat, I saw the comments that you were making, the engagement that you had. So we appreciate all of you tuning in. Miss Lynette, Miss Deborah, Max, Mr. Anderson, Shelton, thank you all again for everything that you've done. You all are amazing individuals. You make amazing contributions, and the leads and steps that you've taken in this new era will never be forgotten. You're a part of history. So I just want to say that on my behalf. So before we conclude this general session, I have a few more announcements. So I mentioned before, you know, we have some prizes. We're doing some giveaways, and we also have picked some winners. So today, like I said, we have 3 prizes. So first, from our title sponsor, PSCU, they're giving away a pair of Apple AirPods. If you don't know, you know, the things that look like Q-tips kind of hanging out of people's ears, you know, those high-tech things. Oh yeah, we're giving away some Apple AirPods. So I want to announce that the winner of this prize is a Miss Beth Coco. So congratulations, Beth Coco. We'll be in contact with you to make sure that you get your brand new pair of Apple AirPods. Up next, from our program sponsor, Q's, they're giving away, a fancy, brand new, out the box Amazon Echo Show. If you don't know what that is, if you ever heard people talk to Alexa, well, Alexa now has a face. It's a screen, you can set it up, you can talk to it, video chat, play some music, whatever you need. And so today's winner for that Amazon Echo Show is Mr. Anthony Haynes. So everyone give him a round of applause. Mr. Anthony Haynes, congratulations. We'll also be in contact with you to figure out how we can get you your brand new Amazon Echo Show. And last but not least, this is a prize that one of my favorite type of prizes. You know, when Christmas comes around, when my birthday comes around, the type of prizes I like. Okay, we're giving away a $50 prepaid gift card. All right, it's just like cash money. You can spend it how you want, where you want, when you want. So today's lucky winner for that $50 gift card from the AACUC is Miss Mary Beth Spook. So give her a round of applause. You know, congratulations, Miss Mary Beth Spook. We'll be in contact with you to make sure that you get your $50 gift card. Up next, we're going to talk about some membership. Okay, as you can see, there are inspirational, amazing, influential people at all types of levels in their career, different levels in their organizations. They're on the East Coast, they're in the West Coast, the South, the North, everywhere that you can turn, there are resources and people to help you. And if you want to have access to this, then just become a member of AACUC. You know, join the family, make it official. Okay, so if you're not a member, and you want to stay engaged, you want to join the family, you want access to these resources, then I advise that you visit the AACUC booth or you can go directly to the aacuc.org website and join and become a member of the AACUC family. We'll be looking forward to seeing you next year at the conference because we're not stopping. This is not the last one. As you can see, the world stopped. There was a pandemic, but we kept it going, okay? We're here for you and we will always be here for you. Now, this concludes the general session, but this is not the end of the day, okay? So just remember that we have the exhibitor hall and that's open, okay? It'll be open until 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's 5:30 p.m. Central. And I want to say 3:30 Pacific Time, you know, for my folks in California, you know, y'all a little behind. It's okay. We make sure it's enough time for you to get in. There's also the Young Professional Summit Young Leaders Panel, which starts at 4:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 3:45 Central Time and 1:45 in California time. Mr. Shelton Rolak will also be on that panel. So if you felt like you didn't get to hear enough of him today, you know, you was wondering what his perspective was, you saw him moderating and all of that, you can definitely come and see him on this panel and the Young Professionals, Young Leaders panel. There will also be a women's chat discussing the shoulders that we stand on and a men's chat on appreciation. Both of those will start at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. There will also be an AACUC after hours reflection session. This is day 2, and that starts at 7:15 Eastern Standard Time, 6:15 Central Standard Time. And also don't forget about the reality fair that's starting tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. If you don't know what the reality fair is, there's an amazing group of kids and an amazing program. And essentially it's teaching them life. So if you've ever played the board game Life, we're bringing it to reality. And that's the reality fair. We're going to show them how to budget. We're going to show them how life works, how to manage their money, and teach them how to win. Okay? We look forward to seeing all of you there in these various sessions. Attend as many as you possibly can. All of this content is free and it's here for you. I really and truly and sincerely want to thank you for joining us for this day 2 of the African American Credit Union Coalition Commitment to Change Conversation Series virtual conference. We hope that you are inspired and empowered to make a difference. We encourage you to keep those conversations going tonight, tomorrow, and at your organizations, and on social media, and with your friends, and at the family reunions, and wherever you can speak with someone, keep those conversations going. Remember to use the hashtags whenever you post to your social media. Remember to share the live streaming links and whatever else you can to your circles. Thank you again. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you all soon. Have a good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. Thank you.